I'm having issues with my Periscope right now. So, to keep this thing going, I am going to basically do this via my video from my computer. Hopefully, I don't have any issues. Um, this last post that I blogged on the site is called The Cultivation of Terroristic Mentality. The history of domestic terrorism within the United States has been a long-standing issue that stems from many different types of people, groups, ideologies, races, religious beliefs, and value systems. The conflicts that arise when the discussion of who is worthy of being an American or on American soil, what is the truest religion, or whose savior is most high, what rights are being violated, equality, retribution, political struggles, governmental control, and independence. Everyone demands a platform on their soapbox by either the free will of an audience or by force of one. However, there presents the struggles of international terrorism as well. While it may seem distant geographically speaking, it is all very close to home. Uh, and I quote from one researcher when I was doing my topic researching. His name is Kruger. Most terrorists are not so desperately poor that they have nothing to live for. Instead, they are people who care so fervently about a cause that they are willing to die for it. Do you understand that? Somebody whose belief in something is so strong that they are willing to die for it. That is one qualification, that is one quality, that is one characteristic of a terrorist. But that's not just terrorists. There are people like that all over, so let's not get that mistaken. When I initially thought about the question of what are the conditions that create a terrorist, at first I thought there must be the underlying issue of poverty, a person's living conditions, lack of education, or being very educated. Excuse me. So I began to run with that idea in my research regarding this topic. But due to my premature assumptions and my own personal views, I was quickly amiss of the idea entirely. While I do believe that a good deal of education plays a part, as many researchers have indicated, I also think that lack of education is seemingly possible too. The urgency for recruitment of the youth is what leads me to believe so. At a certain age, these children are very impressionable, and cult-like disciplines make the ideal of a potential terrorist a not so far-fetched reality. The Palestinian Hamas terrorist group is a great example of how the recruitment and development begins. I chose them because they are known for, seeking out the youth and, bringing them up into the lifestyle of a terrorist. The Hamas have camps that are active throughout the summer seasons that are designed specifically for children. The campers, some of whom are as young as 8 to 9 years old, are taught military tactics as well as the finer points of suicide attacks. These camps are having such success that the numbers climb with each camp year. They are taught that their fight for Allah is their purpose. They are taught that Jews are unworthy of life. Therefore, it is their duty to kill them, every Jew, until there are no more. These children are raised in an atmosphere where what would seem unheard of for an American child and an American family is simply the norm for children of terrorists. Let's not get it confused. We have, domestic terrorism. We have separatist groups. We have right-wingers and all these other types of groups. And there's not even necessarily having to be involved with a group. A person could have such a strong dislike of a race or a person who has a certain preference that, they go to great lengths to bring harm and to stop it by any means necessary. Anyway, as I was saying, it's simply the norm for children of terrorists to grow up in an environment where they're exposed to things that, most American people couldn't even fathom. Hence, knowledge of rifles, grenades, suicide gear, bloodshed, and war are all without saying. Religion is also something to factor in when determining the conditions surrounding the makeup of a terrorist. A lot of these terrorists are so profoundly passionate and deeply driven by their beliefs or causes, so much so that if their demands are not met, it is like second nature to lay their life down in an attempt to send their message across louder and clearer anyway. So basically, by any means necessary. Um, and it can come in so many different forms. We had that anthrax thing, we had the 9/11, we have the suicide bombers, we have, um, car bombers, the people sneaking on the plane with, the shoe bombers. I mean, there's so many different forms, and it's not necessarily bombs. It's by any means. No matter if it is religious, political, or otherwise, their message will be met. It will be seen, it will be heard, it will be expressed by any means necessary. So I believe that the conditions that create a terrorist are all of the different elements stemming from religion, economics, cultural, and political as a whole and separate as entities. The suppression of civil liberties and political rights, including freedom of the press, the freedom to assemble, the democratic rights. Terrorists are recruited based on their commonality of traits, fears, hatred, or adversities. Terrorists sacrifice themselves to suicide bombers in the name of Allah and all that is holy. Their ties to their religion are rooted so deep that many willingly sacrifice their offspring. Men and women are both known to turn to a life of terrorism to ensure the financial security for their family's future. And I mean, maybe before that could have been something like shocking to hear women, going and getting involved in this type of thing. But if you listen, they said for the financial security of their family and their futures. That's something that a woman is going to do. A woman is going to do what she feels is necessary. And another great tactic about it being a woman is that it's, you know, the least suspecting thing that a person, looks for. So in that sense, it's not that shocking either. What they get from doing such things as this is not just, expressing their beliefs about a thing and trying to demand that they're heard. They get the added recognition that leaves them looking like martyrs. They're praised by their cultures and their families and their country and their members of their group. They're seen as heroes, people who laid down their lives for a cause that was important. As one article on StopIslamicTerror.org states, ISIS, Hamas, and Iran all want the same thing: the destruction of Israel, America, and all democratic societies. It is fair to say that any violence in the name of every and all religion should be unacceptable. That's how I feel anyway. Except, I regret to point out that there is just one small detail. No one is playing fair, and no one cares. Political struggles that are fueled by greed, misleading facts, retaliation, hidden agendas, and a struggle for power send out little comfort to imaginations running wild, nor for those who'd rather sit in reality. People fear what they do not know. Fear sparks the need for panic and rebellion. Rationale is lost and disguised by justification for acts that will otherwise be intolerable and not offered up as an option in a far more civilized society. These are the things that cultivate the mentality of a terrorist. It can be a neighbor. It can be a family member. It can be your child, your sister, your brother, your father, your teacher, your boss. It has no face, really. So many people right now, you know, are being recruited right here from off our soil in America. Going through great lengths to get over, you know, to these foreign countries where they get to promise themselves for their religion or for their beliefs, and they get to prove themselves by going through these great lengths, these measures where they are jeopardizing lives, many lives. And don't get me wrong, an American life is not any more important than any other life. All life is important. All life matters.